It's official! Big news is shaking up the NFL scene like a massive explosion. Sources say that Shedeur Sanders got an incredible $90 million offer from a rival team eager to snag Cleveland's most exciting player. This is more than just negotiating a contract. This is a game-changing battle for the franchise. So, it turns out that some insiders are saying that an unnamed organization put together a pretty unprecedented package that was specifically aimed at making Sanders' departure unavoidable. It sounds like we're talking about guaranteed money nearing $65 million, some groundbreaking endorsement deals, full control over the offense, and getting the coaching staff approved by the right people. It was pretty straightforward. Get out of Cleveland right away. This timing really couldn't be worse for Browns' organization. Sanders is all about more than just the quarterback spot. He's all about bringing franchises back to life, changing the culture, and shaking up the finances. Jersey sales totally blew past franchise records. Season ticket renewals really took off this time around. Cleveland went from being overlooked to a must-see destination thanks to national media coverage. It feels like everything could just fall apart in an instant, doesn't it? Sources said that Jimmy Haslam's reaction was nothing short of explosive when he found out about the rival offer. "We held emergency ownership meetings right away. Panic is spreading through the administrative offices like wildfire. Let's not get the wrong idea about what this means. This goes beyond the usual free agency moves. So, Sanders is still on that rookie contract, but it sounds like there are some clever workarounds out there. There are demands for trade, threats of holdouts, and campaigns putting pressure in public. It seems like the unnamed franchise is ready to do whatever it takes to secure Sanders' services. An executive who knows the ins and outs of negotiations shared some surprising details. They're ready to give up several first-round picks along with a solid starter. This isn't about recruitment, this is a hostile takeover. Let's take a look at what sparked this big change. It all seems to come back to Kevin Stefanski's puzzling choices during the season. Even though Sanders showed he had more talent and could make big plays that got everyone pumped up, Stefanski just kept sticking with Dillon Gabriel as the starter. The Ravens game was a real turning point. The national TV audience saw Browns' offense fall apart completely when Sanders wasn't taking any significant snaps. The final score really didn't show just how bad it was. The Baltimore defenders are just cracking up on the sideline. The Ravens coaches are having a good laugh at Cleveland's pretty obvious play calling. Former players are taking to Twitter, expressing their shock as they watch the chaos play out in public. This is where things start to get really complicated. Sanders was said to be more frustrated than ever after the Ravens debacle. Sources say he marched right into Stefanski's office, looking for an explanation. Things apparently got pretty intense right away in the conversation. Sanders is questioning the coaching competence, while Stefanski is standing firm on his systematic approach, and neither of them is backing down. Witnesses noted that Sanders left the facility without chatting with his teammates, which is pretty unusual for someone who's usually so composed and professional. That's when the competing executives saw a chance. There's blood in the water. Looks like there might be a franchise quarterback on the market. Checkbooks are opened right away. The details of the financial package are really impressive. So, aside from that base figure of $90 million, the incentive structures could actually bump the total value up to over $120 million. Marketing promises an extra $30 million. We're talking about the percentage of merchandise sales, how stadium naming can make an impact, and the inclusion of documentary rights. Having a personal chef, a security detail, and access to a private jet sounds pretty amazing. We're discussing a level of quarterback treatment that's usually given to seasoned veterans, not just second-year players. But Sanders really goes beyond the usual evaluation metrics. He's a cultural icon, a business mogul, and a generational talent all wrapped up in a way that fits perfectly with today's NFL vibe. Inside Cleveland's facility, it's pure chaos everywhere. Right now, it seems defensive players are really upset about the possibility of someone leaving. Offensive linemen are feeling pretty insulted after putting in the work to protect Sanders all season long. Receivers know their production drops when Sanders isn't throwing them the ball. A veteran leader reportedly told the teams that if they let him go, they might as well just start from scratch. The sense of unity in the locker room that we built up during training camp is fading fast. Players are wondering about the direction of the organization, the choices made by the coaching staff, and the commitment from ownership. Stefanski is in a tough spot that he made all on his own. His stubborn insistence on playing Gabriel, even with worse results, ended up pushing away a key player for the franchise. We're now looking at a situation that could really define our legacy in a big way. If Sanders goes, the fan base goes, and if the fan base goes, then the job's at risk. It's a straightforward equation, but it seems to be a bit too much for the struggling coach to grasp. It seems that some assistant coaches are quietly sharing their surprise at Stefanski's strict approach. The offensive coordinator reportedly pushed for Sanders to start, but that decision was consistently overruled. The defensive coordinator is feeling pretty frustrated seeing opponents stack the box against the predictable offense led by Gabriel. In the meantime, social media is going wild, with Browns fans having a total meltdown together. Hash helps you stay trending around the world in just a few hours. A petition calling for Stefanski's immediate termination has quickly gathered 100,000 signatures overnight. Season ticket holders are talking about canceling in large numbers. It seems that corporate sponsors are asking for emergency meetings with the ownership. The impact on the business goes way beyond just football operations. Cleveland finally has a superstar who's catching national attention in a good way. Without Sanders, it feels like we're heading back to a place of being ignored, laughed at, and stuck in chaos. Hey, don't forget about Jimmy Haslam's tricky spot during this crisis. The owner who confidently announced Sanders as the starting quarterback on draft night is now watching in frustration as the coach goes against the team's vision. It seems like Haslam has been having some private chats with the minority owners about possibly letting Stefanski go. We took a look at the legal implications. We've figured out the buyout costs. We've found some candidates to replace them. Firing the coach in the middle of the season just adds more instability, which could lead to Sanders wanting to leave, no matter what. A no-win situation is shaping up quickly. People are buzzing with speculation about the rival franchise's identity, which is being kept under wraps. The Dallas Cowboys often come up in conversation, especially because of Jerry Jones and his knack for making big, eye-catching moves. The Miami Dolphins are looking for an upgrade, even with Tua Tagovailoa on the team. The Las Vegas Raiders really need to find themselves a franchise quarterback. The New York Jets are always on the hunt for relevance. Every organization has its own financial resources, market appeal, and coaching situations that could be appealing for Sanders. It looks like there are several teams in the mix, which is pushing the price up because of a bidding war. Sanders is keeping quiet while his team deals with some tricky situations. He really cut back on his social media activity after the Ravens game. The training videos have stopped. Looks like the promotional appearances have been canceled. The usually approachable quarterback pretty much vanished from the public eye. People who know Sanders say he really thinks deeply about what lies ahead. He really took to Cleveland at first, engaged with the fan base in a genuine way. He really threw himself into the community, but with all the benchings, issues within the organization, and conflicts with coaching, it seems like he's run out of patience. This is what really complicates things a lot more. Deion Sanders has a big influence on what's happening here. Coach Prime showed his support for his son all season long, while sometimes taking jabs at Brown's approach through some clever media appearances. With some real concerns on the table, potential legal issues, and a strong position, Prime is really putting the pressure on Cleveland to act. Is the organization willing to engage in a long public fight with the Sanders family? A media circus could really damage Brown's reputation. It could be simpler to just go with the trade package, keep things low-key, and focus on moving ahead without making a fuss. Let's take a look at performance metrics, since evaluating talent is still really important, even with all the drama going on. Sanders really showed what he could do when he got the chance, and his stats were impressive. Looks like the completion percentage is over 70%, even with just a bit of action. Looks like the touchdown to interception ratio is getting close to 4-1. Quarterback rating is always above 100. It's pretty amazing how the explosive play percentage doubled whenever Sanders was running the offense. These are not just personal opinions. They're solid evidence showing superiority over Gabriel. It seems like Stefanski overlooked some evidence and prioritized the process over actual results, which might have cost the franchise a chance at some generational talent. Veterans across the league are keeping a close eye on the situation as it unfolds, feeling both fascinated and horrified at the same time. It seems that a number of well-known quarterbacks have privately shown their support for Sanders' position. They get the ins and outs of coaching politics, the quirks of organizational dysfunction, and the challenges of mismanaged development. So, it seems that one Super Bowl winner might have given Sanders some direct advice. Don't spend your best years just waiting for good leadership to show up. Discover an organization that recognizes your worth right away. That kind of support from peers really boosts Sanders' determination to leave Cleveland, even though he has a strong emotional connection there. The financial impact for Cleveland goes beyond just Sanders leaving right now. Television ratings would drop right away. Merchandise sales just vanished overnight. Looks like corporate partnerships are taking a second look at their investments. Stadium attendance is really dropping, heading towards some of the lowest numbers we've seen. We're talking about hundreds of millions in lost revenue over several seasons. So, whoever picks up Sanders is definitely going to be the team everyone wants to watch. They'll be a playoff contender and raking in the merchandise sales too. That swing could mean a huge miscalculation worth billions by Browns leadership. Let's take a look at how coaching impacts the league as a whole. Every head coach is seeing the cautionary tale play out in front of everyone. It seems like stubbornness is really taking a toll on franchises, putting ego ahead of evaluation. It seems like the system takes precedence over individual talent. Stefanski's potential downfall is a reminder of how important it is to adapt in today's NFL. Coaches really need to adapt, spot those standout players, and make the most of their unique skills. People who refuse are facing professional extinction. I've already heard some offensive coordinators chatting about Sanders' situation while they're interviewing for jobs, really focusing on those player-first philosophies. Make sure to pay attention to the timing aspect. The trade deadline is coming up fast. It looks like Sanders' camp has set a clear timeline for when they expect to resolve things. Cleveland really needs to make a decision here. They can either go all in by firing Stefanski, ensuring a starting position, and proactively restructuring the contract, or they should start trade discussions right away. There's just no middle ground anymore. The relationship broke down to a point where diplomacy just couldn't fix it anymore. All trust is gone now. Taking decisive action is the only way to avoid a total disaster. But Brown has always had a tough time making those tricky decisions on the fly. It looks like there are some organizational weaknesses that could really be a big problem right now. Behind the scenes, Andrew Berry is navigating an incredibly complex situation. The general manager who picked Sanders in the 5th round is standing by that choice despite the criticism, but now it looks like they might be planning for his exit. Berry is in a tough spot, with ownership pushing for Sanders to stay, the coaching staff backing Gabriel, and a locker room that's all over the place. His credibility is damaged no matter the outcome. Let's hold on to Sanders, even if it goes against what Stefanski wants, and make sure to challenge the coach openly. Let's trade Sanders and acknowledge that there was a major mistake in our evaluation. No positive outcome is in sight for the struggling executive. Cleveland is watching in disbelief as yet another quarterback controversy threatens to derail what could have been a great season. Fans went through years of ups and downs with quarterbacks, facing constant letdowns and moments that made them cringe on a national level. Sanders showed a different path. At last, we have someone who's young, talented, marketable, and successful. It seems like everything the Browns really needed is now slipping away, all because the coach won't acknowledge the obvious truth. The impact on the fan base's mental well-being is truly hard to measure. Trust is totally gone. Looks like hope has faded once more. Looks like cynicism is making a comeback, just like we expected. Player reactions within the facility show some pretty mixed dynamics. Some weapons are really getting into the game, openly supporting Sanders on social media with posts, mysterious messages, and clever likes. Defensive stars are keeping a cool demeanor, but behind the scenes, they're definitely feeling frustrated about the offensive struggles. Special teams players find themselves in a bit of a tough spot between different groups. The brotherhood that's crucial for success has been totally compromised. It's tough to win when there are serious divides in the locker room. Veterans see that the championship window is closing fast, and they know they need to come together with a clear purpose. This is the most damaging part. Sanders possibly leaving points to some issues within the organization across the league. Free agents are noticing some instability. Draft prospects are really hoping to steer clear of Cleveland. Coaches are turning down interview requests. The franchise turns into a toxic environment for work, a place where ambitious individuals go to see their career dreams fade away. It takes a long time to rebuild your reputation after a public failure like that. Teams that are good at developing quarterbacks tend to draw in top talent. When organizations mishandle generational opportunities, they often end up as cautionary tales. Cleveland is quickly heading toward that latter category unless something is done right away. The national media coverage is ramping up every hour. All the sports networks are spending time talking about Brown's situation. Ex-players sharing their thoughts. Analysts are breaking down the film. Insiders sharing the latest news. The story is making waves in the headlines since its implications are felt across the world of professional football. Quarterback controversies really grab people's attention, and this one has all the drama you could ask for. We've got a once-in-a-lifetime talent, a coach who's set in his ways, an owner who's feeling the pressure, a locker room that's not on the same page, rival teams lurking around, and cash just flowing all over the place. You couldn't write a better drama than this. Shedeur Sanders' inner circle is really good at keeping things under wraps when it comes to information leaks. The agent is carefully going through the options. Lawyers taking a close look at the wording in contracts. Financial advisors figuring out the implications. The marketing team is looking into how the brand is performing. Everyone gets the stakes involved. This choice really sets the stage for the next 10 years at least. Make the right choice. Become an amazing superstar. Make a bad choice. Don't waste your prime years. No pressure at all, huh? The $90 million offer is about more than just the money. It stands for respect, appreciation, and validation. Sanders never really got a steady opportunity in Cleveland. Even though they were producing whenever they got the chance, the coaching staff still had their doubts. Even though it got fans really excited, the organization's commitment seemed to falter. Even though it's supposed to show the future of the franchise, the development was handled really poorly. Money has its say, but respect really makes a statement. Sanders totally deserves both. Cleveland didn't really provide what was needed. Support for Stefanski is fading quickly within the organization. Assistant coaches are finding ways to create some space for themselves. Coaches are steering clear of any hot-button issues. Coordinators are quietly working on their resumes. If Sanders leaves, everyone knows that house cleaning is on the horizon. A new regime would require a total shift in thinking. It seems like the current staff is caught in the crossfire because of Stefanski's unwillingness to adapt. Looks like the self-preservation instincts are kicking in all over the facility. This unnamed franchise is really going after it, showing how NFL roster building has changed in recent times. We're moving away from traditional development timelines and focusing on making immediate impact through acquisitions. Why go through the hassle of drafting and developing when you can grab proven talent that's out there due to issues elsewhere? Sanders is a unique chance to get a key player for the franchise without giving up any draft picks. It might seem like a lot to give up multiple first-round picks, but when you think about having an elite quarterback for over a decade, it makes more sense. Championship windows kick off right away when you have some truly amazing talents on your team. In a league focused on results, patience can turn into a liability. Cleveland media is in the middle of a journalistic feeding frenzy. Beat reporters are really working hard to build their sources. Radio hosts going back and forth without end. Television personalities are openly picking sides. The level of coverage really shows how much people care about civic investment on an emotional level. The Browns mean so much more than just a football team for Cleveland. They really capture the essence of the city's identity, pride, and resilience. It would be a real blow to the community spirit if we lost Sanders, and it goes way beyond just the sports side of things. Local businesses that rely on game day revenue are feeling pretty anxious. Bars, restaurants, and hotels are starting to get a sense of the potential economic downturn that's on the horizon. In Sanders' camp, they're continuing to plan strategically and methodically, public statements made with care. Social media is always being watched. We took a good look at all the legal options available. Even with all the emotional ups and downs, the approach stays professional. Sanders really wanted to see Cleveland succeed. I took on the pressure, met the expectations, and handled the responsibility, all while getting ready to deliver a championship. In the end, the issues within the organization turned out to be an obstacle that couldn't be overcome. Sometimes, just having talent isn't enough to get past structural incompetence. I'm excited to see how resolution approaches unfold. Cleveland really needs to shake things up right away. Maybe that means letting Stefanski go, giving Sanders full control, and completely rethinking the organization. So, Sanders is heading off to a franchise that really understands the value of things, making the most of potential, and staying competitive all the time. The middle ground just disappeared entirely. This decision affects a bunch of franchises, a ton of careers, and millions of fans, all because one coach just couldn't see the obvious talent right in front of him. This situation really shows just how complex the modern NFL can be. Evaluating talent is important. Managing your ego is really important. Getting everyone on the same page is super important. Financial resources are really important. Media relations are really important. Engaging with fans is super important. Not having any element makes you vulnerable. Rivals take full advantage without holding back. Cleveland dropped the ball in several areas at once, making for a perfect storm. Sanders possibly leaving is more of a sign than a problem itself. There's more to the issue than just the quarterback situation. What happens in the next 72 hours is going to shape Cleveland's path for at least the next decade. Let's keep Sanders in the mix to possibly save the season and definitely stay relevant. With Sanders gone, it looks like we're in for some tough times ahead, possibly a total overhaul. Ownership is at a crossroads, facing a big decision. A coach who pushed away the franchise quarterback, and a player who brought excitement to the whole fan base. It looks pretty clear from the outside. Politics can really make things tricky behind the scenes. In professional sports, it's all about egos, contracts, relationships, and power dynamics. It's never really straightforward, is it? With Thursday just around the corner, you can really feel the tension building up. So, it looks like Sanders is having a direct chat with the owners, skipping over management entirely, and laying out his demands pretty clearly. It's either Stefanski or Sanders who's out. I've delivered the ultimatum in a respectful yet firm way. Haslam has some tough decisions ahead. He's got to pick between the coach and the quarterback, the system and the talent, and really think about the past versus the future. This decision really sets in stone his legacy of ownership for good. Make the right choice, and you'll be remembered as a visionary. If you pick the wrong option, you'll be remembered for it as a failure. There's a $90 million offer hanging over everything, and it definitely adds some tension to the situation. Money that matters, chances that count, and respect that's earned. Sanders deserves everything, but he hasn't been getting it consistently. Cleveland has the financial means to match offers, but it doesn't quite have the organizational stability needed to keep players around. Money without a plan doesn't really mean much. Sanders really felt that lesson this season. The next place has to meet both needs, or we'll just end up going in circles again. One thing is for sure, the NFL is definitely keeping us on the edge of our seats. This story sets the stage for how players can take charge, the role of coaches, the influence of owners, and how Cleveland's way of handling crises really shakes things up across the league. Players are paying attention to how the organization treats its star players. Coaches keep an eye on how management handles things during a controversy. Owners look at where to draw the line on their involvement. It seems like everyone is picking up lessons from Browns' mistakes right now. The end is coming up fast. It's all about winning and losing, right? Cleveland is really on the edge right now. Sanders has all the cards in hand. Stefanski is really reaching out for a way to find hope. Haslam is doing some quick calculations. Fans are praying with all their might. The media is eagerly chomping at the bit. Rivals are waiting around, keeping a close eye. The Browns' future becomes clear in just a few hours. It's either the start of a renaissance or we're heading into darkness. There's no in-between left. Cleveland is facing a pivotal moment, and it's coming in strong.